Good afternoon, everybody. We're about ready to get started if everyone wants to take their seats. All right, welcome to the Donelson-Hermitage Neighborhood Alliance Candidate Forum. I'm Tabitha Robinson. I'm the president of the DHNA, and
I'm Tyler Brasher. I'm the vice president of the DHNA. I'm really excited for you all to be here. And Tabitha's going to go over a few introductions and we'll get started.
Perfect. First of all, can you all hear this? Is this good in the back? Awesome. All right, well, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the rest of our board. If you're a board member, I'd like you to stand. I'd like to thank y'all for your commitment to this event and for making it possible. Everyone played a role in this, and thank you very much. And to everyone else here, if you're not a member and you enjoy this program today, this is just one of the many events that the DHNA puts on every year. If you'd like to join us as a member and have access to all of our information and events, you can join at givebutter.com/joindhna. And I believe at most of the tables here, there's a QR code that you can scan and join as well. And today we also have 3 student moderators with us. I'd like to take a moment to introduce them. Would you like to stand up and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Erin Jones, and I'm a rising senior at Battlefront Academy.
Hi, my name is Grace Chen, and I attend the new James Lawson.
Hello, my name is Nanya Tanjora, and I'm a rising senior at Ravenwood High School.
Thank you. And what makes our student moderators special today is they are currently participating in the National Bar Association High School Intern Program, where they're completing summer internships at law firms and legal entities all throughout the city. And they all have an interest in politics, public policy, and the law, so we're very grateful for them to be here and have this experience this afternoon. I'm going to pass it back to Tyler, who's got a 1-minute spiel on participatory budgeting.
Yeah, so thanks. Even though you're getting a little bonus info on the participatory budgeting process, but I'm part of the steering committee for the participatory budgeting process here in 2023. That's a process whereby the city gets to determine how to spend $10 million of the budget. We all get to submit ideas and vote on those ideas. As an update, all the ideas are submitted at this point. The deadline was back at the end of June, but what we need you guys to do now is to, it's going to be a few months, but whenever it comes around, it'll be in the fall. We'd love for all of you to go and vote on the projects for your district, whether it's 11 to 15. Vote on those projects. It's going to be a citywide vote, and so we want to make sure that we get enough votes for our part of town to get one of those projects funded. So we really appreciate that, and you can go to, I think it's pbnash.com and get some more information about that if you'd like.
All right. Well, before we get officially started with the forum, we have some special guests here with us today. We have Councilmember Aaron Evans representing District 12 and Councilmember Russ Bradford representing District 13. And I'd like to introduce them both and have them have a few minutes with you to speak to the group.
Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I really appreciate the fact that this is going to be my second term that I'm running for. I'm Erin Evans, represent District 12. District 12 is the part of Hermitage that basically takes us from Old Hickory Boulevard right at the I-40 kind of area and south and all the way over to the county line. And so I appreciate the trust the community had in me to re-elect me for a second term, and I'm running unopposed. And I think that's because nobody else wanted to do it after they saw how hard the first 4 years happened to be. But we've had some really great successes in District 12. Some are very tangible successes. For instance, Old Hickory Boulevard getting paved is a combination of, yes, at least y'all applaud for that. This is a partnership between the state of Tennessee. TDOT paid for 75% of this paving project. That's not complete yet. We still have another layer of paving to go. And then 25% came from Metro Nashville. So it's a great example of the state and the city working together for the betterment of residents. We also have an intersection improvement at Old Hickory Boulevard and Central Pike. Is another area where TDOT has been very helpful. We've had some things like culverts replaced. Melvin Road is one of those areas where a culvert is being replaced. So District 12 is evolving. So some of you that are in this room may have been part of the District 12 representation over the last 4 years, but you may be transitioning to District 11 or 14 as part of the redistricting process. And so District 12 is going to pick up the Mount Juliet Hermitage area where you have to drive through Mount Juliet to get to it. That used to be part of District 33. So it's going to be changing and evolving. We've got a lot of work to do. We have a great opportunity to elect some really great people. So if you have not researched candidates, one of the things I encourage you to do is go to the National Banners website. They have a really comprehensive list of all kinds of information about at-large candidates, district candidates, mayoral candidates, and be ready to vote again because early voting starts this Friday, runs through July 29th. Election day is August the 3rd. Even though I'm unopposed, I would still really appreciate your vote if you're in District 12. And if you ever need to reach me, my cell number is 615-861-1282, and that is posted on my website, which is erinfor12.com. And I'll turn it over to Councilman Bradford.
Just like Erin said, I want to thank Tabitha and DHNA for hosting this forum for this election campaign. And like my colleague, Councilmember Evans, I too am unopposed for 3 elections. So I'm beginning my second and final term on Metro Council, and I'm looking forward to adding on to the work that we've done in the last 4 years. As you've probably seen in the news, our credit rating as a city has been increased for the first time in the last 40 years to AA+. That's all because of the hard work that the council and you, the taxpayers, have put into improving this city over the last 4 years. So I'm looking forward to continuing on that success and continuing to see work for investments in District 13, such as library, more sidewalks, and better traffic calming measures. So and I don't have much else to say on top of what Erin has already talked about as far as time on council. I do have to leave right after this, so I'm sorry I won't be able to see the rest of the forum. But I have another meeting I have to go to with the planning department this afternoon. So again, thank y'all so much for coming out here. I do hope that if you live in District 13, you will consider giving your vote. Because just like Erin said, I still need votes too. So, so if you have any other information, you can find me on Facebook at Bradford for D13 or RussBradford.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bradford and Councilmember Erin Evans, for your time this afternoon. All right, well, before we get into the thick of the forum, I had some ground rules that I've already discussed with our candidates, but I wanted to inform the group as well. So our process here tonight is not very technical. As you can see here, we've got a couple glasses and a bucket of questions. A total of 16 questions is going to be asked tonight. 2 candidates from the same district will be randomly assigned to the question that is taken out of that bucket. And the result is each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to 4 of the randomly assigned questions. And each candidate will have 3 minutes to answer, and due to time constraints, there will not be time for any rebuttals. I've also got an orange and red flag over here. I will be keeping time, and candidates, you have 30 seconds when I wave that orange flag, and when I wave the red flag, your time is up. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started?
All right, the first question of the night goes to District 14. All right. NASCAR track. More than half of Davidson County voters opposed providing Metro funding for a new tiny stadium. A new proposal to renovate the National Fairgrounds Speedway will cost state and local taxpayers up to $100 million. And now it looks as if the deal will be decided upon by the new council. Will you support committing public funds to this racetrack? Please elaborate.
Okay, absolutely not. The stadium was a waste of money in and of itself. We don't need another mistake like that. If it works out in the private sector, if there's private entities that want to fund it, that's fine. I've heard which way saying, oh, it's not going to be the taxpayers, it's going to be state funded, which is still national taxpayers. There's extra hotel taxes, which I think I'm in favor of, but still we have more important priorities to take care of. The homeless, transit, affordable housing.
Am I good? All right, we'll start the clock. First of all, hi there, I'm Jordan Huffman. I'm running for District 14. I didn't get to do an intro, but I'm the former president of the Donelson-Hermitage Neighborhood Alliance. It's interesting being here as a candidate because I've been in the moderator's shoes plenty of times. So thank you for the DHNA and thank y'all as well for being here. First and foremost, this is a bad deal for Nashville. At any rate, spending over $100 million in public subsidies under the current plan is a bad one. Here's why. Number one, you can't put up enough sound barriers to protect that Wedgwood Houston neighborhood from the sound, period. I will always protect our neighborhoods. Number two, and this is a really big one, guys, BMS is not putting in enough to show that they're really invested. I firmly believe that. If they want this racetrack, they should be ponying up more money at the end of the day. Now, also, let's talk about a few more things. This is a really important deal for Nashville if this does go through because it wrecks the sanctity of the historic fairgrounds. That dirt track, which, by the way, I'm originally from East Tennessee. I grew up dirt track racing, NASCAR loving country boy, all right? This ruins that racetrack from that. Also, this is a 30-year lease as it is introduced right now. You can't tell me that we can guarantee that NASCAR will be financially able to support this for 30 more years. As bad as I hate to say this, popularity in NASCAR is dying. Thank you.
The next question will go to District 15. Median home prices in Davidson County were $410,000 in March of 2023, down from a high in May 2022 of $465,000, according to a Tennessean real estate market report. The March 2023 median price can be compared to the median price of $305,000 as of March 2020. This represents an increase of 34% in median home prices in just 3 years. How can Metro provide relief to home buyers that may not qualify for traditional assistance, but find themselves priced out of the market?
Hello, I'm Jeff Gregg. I live in District 15 and I've been a resident since 1996. So one of the things that originally attracted me to Donelson was the affordability. And if I was to buy a house there now, I don't know that I could afford it. And one thing I appreciate about the district, we have many creatives that have moved out of the music grow area, people who are trying to make it in the music business and related creative fields. Guess what? If the home prices continue to rise like they are, they can't afford to live here. And we're going to lose the soul of one of the souls that made Nashville what it is. So we've got to be creative in our public-private partnerships. We've got to do better to create affordable housing. And there's a misnomer about affordable housing. It's for our workforce, our people, our doctors, our policemen, our firemen, our school teachers that can't afford to live on $55,000, $65,000 a year. So if we want Nashville to stay diverse and continue to be inclusive, we've got to do better. We've got to be creative when it comes to affordable housing.
Well, I'm Dan Jones. I'm also running in District 15 for councilman. I have not been here that long. Actually, I moved here in 2020, in October of 2020. I bought a house in November of 2020 because I wanted to be a Nashvilleian as fast as possible. I came from San Diego, California. You want to talk about housing prices and things going. When I left San Diego, my house that I bought for $115,000 sold for $720,000. It's now going for like $1.4 million, and these are in really small neighborhoods that are just, the average middle class neighborhoods. And now every house there is $1 million. I went back just recently to help my son who's finally moving out of California, Colorado, and I asked all my friends there, I said, so now all your houses are worth $1.5 million? He goes, nobody's buying any houses. Nobody's paying $1.5 million for a 2-bedroom. I mean, that's what they're asking because the sales are so poor there. When I first moved here, I was lucky enough to buy a house really quickly. I did experience a pretty significant increase in the housing prices, and I've never really heard anybody complain about their house going up. I hear people talk about affordable housing, and we have to keep this down, but everybody wants their house to appreciate in value. I have noticed that since I've been here, my house has increased, but it hasn't increased as much as it did the first year. It's gone down. When I first moved here, there was 21 houses for sale in my entire neighborhood, 37214. Now there's about 85. When I moved here, it was taking 10 days to sell a house. Now it's taking about 35 to 40 to sell a house. I think housing is it's like everything else. It comes and goes in waves, and when it gets too high and people can't buy, it will come down. That's how it works. I think the big thing to make affordable housing is to reinvest in our middle class. Our middle class is what is going away. So the lower class, that's what they achieve to, is the middle class and buying a house and stuff. And that's what's making it hard right now, is that we have a very wide range between the uber wealthy and the people that are struggling. I think if we develop housing or we develop jobs that lets people enter that middle class, they will get to the point that they can buy a house, and the houses will be available at a price point that the market is serving. When I went to sell my house, first time in 27 years, they told me it will sell for what the market will pay. And that's kind of what's going on now. Again, I don't know anybody, if anybody here owns a house and you would prefer that your house not appreciate for the next 5 years, raise your hand. Nobody wants that. So everybody says they want affordable housing, but there's not an easy way to get to it other than have people able to buy houses. Thank you.
The next district is District 14. Our question is on public transit. Public transit is a named priority for many candidates in this election, and there are currently discussions surrounding expanding Amtrak intercity train routes into Tennessee. For example, a train route linking Nashville to Chattanooga and Atlanta. Is such an expansion needed in your opinion, and if so, how can Metro support such expansion?
Did anybody here drive yesterday around Nashville? Just curious, raise a hand. Yeah. Who got stuck in traffic? Yeah, we need it, bad. So let's talk about long-term and short-term, because that's really what it comes down to. Long-term, we have to fund some sort of transit rail system. Now, I'm in favor of expanding what already exists with our Music City Star. It was put in as a development line that was originally intended to go east to west, north to south. That was the original intent. A lot of y'all know that. So I don't know why it never did get finished though. Now, where we stand right now, there are some things that we have to work out with CSX since it is their rail line, but I absolutely think that is the long-term option. But it requires the city and the state and the railway to have a good partnership. That's number one. So, short term, let's talk about what we can do. There's the first thing, the easiest thing is an expansion of our bus services. It's not appealing to a lot of people right now because Nashville doesn't market it. Plain and simple. Now, right now in Hermitage, if you stop to go to the bus, you're likely standing on a street corner with no bench where there's just a sign. When do you know if a bus stops? You don't know. You're going to take a guess. You're going to pull a list of the times off of a WeGo website. Wouldn't it make sense to have a system, number one, where we have covered bus stops, where you are protected from the elements? And number two, wouldn't it make sense to have an app on your phone to where you could see if a bus was running late, if it was running early, or how many buses are running specifically on that line. I think that is a good first step. Now, that's only one part of the short-term plan. WeGo also started just this year in a beta format, a partnership with Uber. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but in specific parts of Metro Nashville right now, if you're not within walking distance of a bus line, you can take an Uber there for $2. Now that is the first step that they're doing, but they're looking to expand that. Had a very healthy dialogue with the WeGo CEO about this, and I look forward to continuing conversations about that. So those are a couple of things that we can do in the short term. This is imperative that the next mayor and the next Metro Council figure this out, plain and simple. Thank you.
Yeah, so first off, real quick, because I noticed we did skip the introductions. I'm RJ Magnolo, running for council in District 14. I'm the second vice president of the Donelson Lions Club. I'm the secretary of the Davidson County Democratic Party, and I work for Under Armour. So, transit's important. I think we need to start by expanding the bus system with more stops, and then from there, go on to add rails. I know there's a proposal of getting Radnor Yards out of Nashville and using the space for local transit commutes, which I would be in favor of. Also, there are some cities like Indianapolis, Milwaukee, that have bypasses on their interstates. That would free up traffic for local traffic. And another thing that would help, we would eliminate need for parking garages and could put those to better use. So, yes, those are some of the ideas I have.
All right, the next question goes to District 15. Nashville big government seems overly attentive to tourism and downtown development to the exclusion of those of us who live here all year round in the peripheral neighborhoods. It's as though we're all supposed to be so excited about the high levels of tourism downtown, the expansion of B&A, the stadium, the East Bank, but in what material ways does that benefit those of us who live in Donelson-Hermitage?
Well, tourism is good. Tourism brings in a lot of money. Every time they talk about, hey, this is coming, it's going to bring in $50 million. I'm a big believer that it kind of trickles down. It goes into the other places. I'm not a big fan of downtown Nashville. I've been a few times. I've sung there a few times, but it's not my scene. But I do know that lots of people come here and spend a lot of money. I don't know that we're so involved, as Nashville as a city is so involved, because they turned down the Republican convention, which was hundreds of millions of dollars and stuff. So I think that tourism is good. I think it makes us very famous. If you look up Nashville on any website, what are you going to see? A picture downtown with all those lights and stuff. When people come to Nashville, you have to have a place for them to come and have fun. I mean, we're kind of in the tourism business, and people come all the time from all over the world. They come just to our store. Oh, by the way, my name is again Dan Jones. I work for the Glock store. The reason I moved here is because we moved our world headquarters from San Diego to here. It took 3 years to build our facility. I invite everyone to come and see it. But people come from all over the world, and they come stop at the Glock store because they knew that they were coming to Nashville. So we tell them to come here before you start drinking, because we don't let you shoot you drinking. But no, I'm for tourism. I think the money trickles down. I think it goes out. Other people make a lot of money based on different things that are just connected in 4 or 5 different ways from the tourism. I have from the food to everything that's involved with people taking a vacation. I've never heard of a city yet that didn't want tourists and didn't want people to come spend money, stay in the hotels, and then go home. That's my answer.
So if you're from Nashville or you've lived in Nashville quite a while, you know that 30 years ago, you did not go downtown. It was kind of a sketchy place. And obviously that's drastically changed. Is anybody in the room an Enneagram 3? I am, and guess what? So is Butch Spearman. And Butch was hired to put Nashville on the map, to make us a major tourist attraction. Well, I would say that he achieved that goal, would you not? And I think we're at saturation point. And if you're a planner, and if you're a person who needs to have goals, you know, once you achieve a plan, you reset those plans. And I think we've got to change the focus from downtown to our neighborhoods. My district, most of the homes were built in the 50s or the 60s. Most do not have sidewalks, they do not have curbs. You know, we've got to change that. If we're going to be creative with our hotel tax percentages, we need to move that away from downtown and from entertainment. And by the way, I spent 27 years in entertainment, so I get it. But it's time to change that focus. And one thing I appreciate about Nashville is that we do have these unique neighborhoods. And specifically 15 for a long time. When I bought my house, the real estate agent told me, do not buy your house in Donelson. Well, now, obviously that's drastically changed and it's hip and people are moving here. But still, you know, when it comes to infrastructure improvement, we don't get a lot of attention. So we've got to change strategically. The tourists are coming. They don't need our help in getting the tourists here. We've got to focus on our neighborhoods and further out in the city. Thank you.
The next question will go to District 11 for the candidates Patton and Eddington. There are rumors of a push for Nashville to attract a Major League Baseball team, and a local organization, Music City Baseball, was formed to this end. Would you support any such efforts, and would you support spending public funds on another professional sports stadium?
Well, hey, y'all. My name's Aaron Patton. I am proud to be running in District 11 and really excited to be here tonight. Thank you to the DHNA, and let's play some sports, I guess. I was the only candidate sitting up here who spoke out at the third reading against the Titans Stadium. The Titans Stadium was a boondoggle, and while I love my Titans, spending $800 million on a stadium when we claim we can't afford to pay our teachers seems like a little bit extreme. The MLB deal, so far as we've heard, requires no public funding. Now, if that's the case, if they want to come in and build it themselves, absolutely. But public funds going to another stadium project is a no-go for me. And I've heard rumors that they've already started hiring their friends at Jigsaw, the lobbying firm that made the Titans deal happen, go down. So, no more stadiums unless they want to pay for it themselves. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Sherrod Eddington, and it is a joy to be here tonight representing District 11. And just a show of hands, who here is from District 11? Yay, all right. In 1996, my wife and I moved to Old Hickory so I could pastor the Old Hickory Presbyterian Church, and we've continued to live in the district for the past 27 years. It's our home, it's where we've raised a family, and it's where we intend to spend the rest of our lives. It is, as I say, the best kept secret in Davidson County. And although I don't want to keep it a secret, we do want to keep the wonderful nature of District 11 as it is. A wonderful place to live, a wonderful place to work, a wonderful place to play and have neighbors. Now, having said that, baseball. I love baseball. We go to baseball games all the time. In fact, we would go to Greer Stadium, even when it was a dump. and you weren't sure if your seat was gonna fall apart under you. And then when they built the new stadium, which is really nice, we go to those games and cheer for the Sounds. The MLB rumor is just that, a rumor. Yes, people are talking about it. There are no firm plans. And so I'm not going to stand here and say yes or no to something that hasn't been worked out. We don't know what the deal will be, but it's something that we need to look at and consider carefully. Be deliberate in our decisions and thought making from this point forward. I have said before that Nashville, if it were an automobile, you'd get arrested for speeding. We're going too fast. We do need to slow down and be deliberative in what we do, to have a plan for how we go forward. Baseball can be part of that plan. There's no reason not. Baseball is America's sport. But we have to think it through and think it through carefully. Thank you.
Our next district is District 11. We have Eastlake and DeLucas. The Metro Nashville Police Department's Hermitage Precinct is the largest precinct in the Metro Nashville Police District system. Ground has been broken for a new Antioch precinct. Do you believe this will provide sufficient relief to officers stretched thin at the Hermitage Precinct? If no, what will you do as a council member to see that MNPD has what it needs to keep our residents safe?
So if I understand, I'm Joe DeLucas, running District 11. I was a retail restaurant manager for over 30 years. If we didn't work together, we all failed. If I understand that question correctly, it's saying that ground is broken on a new precinct, but is it going to run thin for the police officers? We were spending money on a precinct and not spending money on hiring officers. Officers are horribly underfunded as it is, as are the teachers, like we talked about, and as are firefighters. That money that's being spent to build these new buildings should be spent in hiring the people and giving them the wages they need and the equipment and resources they need so their jobs are safe. If you're underfunding all those people, they go out to a call, they're not going to be safe in what they do because they're understaffed. That money should be going to hiring more people, not building new buildings when no building already exists.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm Jeff Eastlick. I'm running for District 11. I moved to this area 23 years ago and loved it. Loved it then, love it now. We have a lake on one side, we have a river on the other, and me and my Sea-Doo and my 2 dogs are frequently on them. So if you see a guy with 2 dogs on a Sea-Doo, it's probably me. About the officers, one thing I think that we could do is hire more police officers from cities that have been disrespected, defunded, or villainized. If we're going to put together some type of incentive package to bring people to town, I would love to make it the seasoned or veteran officers first from those cities. I think also we could look at, and to answer this question, I have heard that we are stretching thin our upper management and our stronger police officers whenever we do add a new precinct to it. And this may be the case here. But if we do add to our officers and we bring some of the ones in from other cities, I know we're running them through the police academy right now. I'm also hearing that when they get out, they find out it's not really like television, that it's a really difficult job, and they're not staying like you think they would. So, yes, I think it would stretch our officers a little bit thin, but then we also need to recruit new ones, not just from Nashville, but look at other cities and try to bring their veteran officers in here. And if I could put together a package, you know, the celebrities, the athletes, and all the musicians, they love Nashville. They make it their home far after their careers or their contracts are over. So tell those police officers, look at Nashville. Let us bring your family here. Let us get you a little place, and you can be a part of our fabric, part of our neighborhoods, and help make our area more safe. I think that's one of the key things to making Nashville a really good place. Like when I grew up, it was a friendly, safe, nice place. Right now, It's not really as recognizable. And I think making our police force one of the strongest and one of the best in the nation would help make that happen again.
All right, the next question goes to District 14. Metro recently allocated $50 million in federal pandemic relief funds towards alleviating the issue of homelessness in Davidson County. All of it went towards housing-related causes. Do you agree with prioritizing housing alone as a solution to our homelessness crisis? And what other areas would you like to see funding directed to in order to relieve the issue of homelessness?
Okay, well, homelessness is particularly personal to me. When I was still living at home, my family had a close call with foreclosure, so that's why I don't take housing for granted. So, what are some things we can do? I think we should prioritize funding for the Barnes Fund. We also need to remove red tape for affordable housing developers. I recently talked to a developer. He said there's a lot of small developers who want to be affordable housing developers, and there's too many hoops they have to jump through, too many fees. They get different answers as they go to different departments. And a third thing I want to do is have the city partner with charities like Room in the Inn and Rescue Mission for a transitional program. I once did an internship for an organization in Gary, Indiana, that helped women transition out of the prison system, and I think we could apply those same concepts to the homeless. So, yeah, homelessness is the number one issue for me on my platform. Thank you.
Homelessness is the biggest crisis that this community faces. Period. End of story. Now let's talk about a couple of things and then talk about a solution. I'm not going to say I'm going to solve homelessness because I'd be lying to you. This is a huge problem. But I've been in this camp right behind this Kroger a couple of times with Councilmember Evans because we've been trying to clean this up. What I've seen in that camp would blow you away. Piles of needles. Kids younger than mine. Got a 15-month-old son at home. It's unbelievable what's in these camps. Now, should this funding go straight for housing? Absolutely not. I talk to every single voter when I'm going door to door about this. That money is being wasted as far as I'm concerned. Housing helps, but it is not the solution. We have to fund mental health and substance abuse services. If we don't do that, we're kicking the can down the road, and we're not solving the problem, y'all. Now, one thing that I really want to do, if I get elected, I want to bring the community together in coordination with Councilmember Evans, who I'm already working with, and who I am very much looking forward to serving with and tackle this problem head on. Because we're going to get a grip on what's going on here in coordination with our Homeless Impact Division. Okay? Now, something else that we have to absolutely do here. We have to give these folks a purpose. You cannot get out and lift yourself up out of this life that they're living until you give them a purpose. I'd like to partner with local manufacturing companies to give these folks rudimentary tasks at a minimum wage to help not only that factory get some jobs done. Hey, we hear it all the time, right? It's hard to hire. We got people that are doing Uber and delivering groceries instead of working minimum wage jobs. Let the homeless do it. I firmly believe that we can kill two birds with one stone with this. Now, the plan that I just described, y'all, it's not perfect, and it's going to take dedication. But the city of Houston has implemented a plan very similar to this, okay? And in the last 5 years, they have seen a 60% drop in their homelessness population. So I'm going to stick to this plan, and if we need to pivot along the way, we will absolutely do that. But We're gonna learn and we're gonna figure this out as a community. Thank you.
The next question goes to District 11, to Eastlick and Patton. Nashville's LPR pilot program was preliminarily shown to have disproportionately placed LPRs in Black and brown communities with lower incomes despite guidelines from Metro requiring the pilot program to evenly distribute the devices around Davidson County. How can Metro implement the program more equitably across the city? And how can Metro relieve public concerns about privacy?
To be honest, I'm not really familiar with this license plate reader distribution, so I don't know what the facts are and where the locations are. But I do know we need more safety, and the license plate readers allow the police officers to know more about what's going on in the cars that are on our roads. If someone they're looking for in a couple of states over that's committed some heavy crimes rides through this place, at that point we're able to know that that's them, at least potentially them, and know where they are, giving the officers a chance to find them and maybe even take them off the streets a lot quicker than if they didn't have them at all. Now, if it is in areas that are disproportionately hurting our citizens, then we do need to look at that, maybe redistribute those. But I think it would be easier to put them at the most high traffic areas where you're gonna have the most cars. Some of those we already know, they're probably the most dangerous intersections of our city anyway. So making sure that we put them in high traffic areas so that they're most effective in finding the people that we really want to take off the streets, should be the goal and should be what we're doing with it.
Well, I have studied the LPR issue quite closely, and I was actually at Councilwoman Evans' meeting when they were being introduced to the city. I was very skeptical because I heard a lot of concern around privacy and security, and I think in the pilot program we're seeing some good things and we're seeing some bad things. The good things, we're taking fentanyl and stolen guns off the street, and I'm really proud of our Metro officers to see that that is happening. We are putting them in places and concentrating them that, according to that report coming out, we do need to look and reassess where our priorities are for those cameras. I think that we have a lot of folks on both ends of the spectrum who are going to have to find their way back to the middle. And that's what I'm committed to doing with issues like LPRs and the other issues facing our city. We've got to figure out a way to respect each other and have these conversations that are really difficult. Amicably, we've got to have them equitably, and we've got to be realistic about the solutions, because everyone's tired of these stolen guns getting out. We had 630 stolen guns in Nashville since the beginning of the year. We heard that statistic yesterday. We've got to find these folks who are committing these crimes. We've got to find these folks. And LPRs take our officers that are stretched so thin and make it easier for us to find those folks. And what I'm seeing, the numbers I'm seeing, we're seeing a lot of success, and we're seeing some places we can work on. So I'm looking forward to coming together with both sides of the spectrum and finding an amicable solution. Thank you.
Our next district is District 11. Eastlick and DeLucas. Criminal trespassing is a Class C misdemeanor in Tennessee. Class C misdemeanors in Tennessee carry a maximum sentence of no more than 30 days or a fine of no more than $50. Enforcing trespassing laws alone will not solve the homelessness problems present in our districts. How would you work with law enforcement and the district attorney to enact policies that would enhance public safety while respecting the rights of our unhoused neighbors?
Okay, first of all, That only pertains to public property, or private property. Public property, there is no technical trespassing law, as long as they're not closed. The issue with that, and I 100% support holding people accountable, and that's one of the things that I keep saying, is accountability for all. But you can't be held accountable when our district attorney won't prosecute. They refuse to prosecute homeless people and people that are committing crimes. We need to do that. Part of the homeless issue and part of my plan on that is to make sure that the criminals are held accountable, to help the afflicted find the help they need, and create like case managers to handle all those people. But to actually answer that question, the only way to work together is to get the district attorney to do their job and hold those people accountable and prosecute. Without them prosecuting, they're only going to stay there and be there.
So right now, with the Kroger area, most of the homeless are on Metro land. And Metro could do something about that, but they're choosing not to. Although in the end, it would be the taxpayers that were paying that. The money that we're talking about that go to the homeless problem, some of it needs to go to where we're helping these people get the rehabilitation they need, whether it's drug, alcohol, or mental illness. And not the NGOs and the NPOs out there that are making money off this and trying to keep them open. I know they want to help, but in the end, they're only pushing this problem down the road and keeping these camps open when we should be making a place for them to be able to stay and get drug treatment at the same time. And just like George was talking about, there is homeless court in Texas. It takes away the fines, it takes away some of the different problems that you have, but you have to have accountability. You have to go through treatment, you have to get back on the mental state that you need to be. And then that's part of that purpose. Step by step, you get better and better, and then we can get to a point where you can get a job and you can start being a better citizen and get on your feet. But allowing them to stay in there, whether it's on public, private land, or whatever it is, isn't the solution. It's not what's making our city look like some of the others that you see on television that you know you don't want to live in. And we're ignoring it to a point, and it is part of the problem with not prosecuting what's going on. And we can't arrest our way out of this, but we also need to find solutions, like putting a carrot out there. So if you'll go through this drug treatment plan and get yourself clean, we will drop the charges that got you in this spot in the first place. So there's a lot of solutions out there, but leaving it like it is isn't one that should be anywhere near the top of the list.
All right, the next question is for District 11. Candidates Eddington and DeLucas. Nashville recently enacted a trial period for license plate readers, OPRS, that is ongoing. Do you support the use of license plate readers, and what do you view as pros and cons of the concept?
When I was first asked that question, I actually didn't know a whole lot about it, but I did my research. And they talked about LPR and face recognition. I am in support of LPR. Just like Eric said earlier, it does help people, or help the police officers find any kind of criminal. Jeff said the same thing. I'm not in support of face recognition. I think that is a privacy issue. But I am in support of the LPR, and I think that people should be held accountable if they are committing any kind of crimes that has pulled up with that LPR.
Hot potato. Twister. Yes, I'm in favor of the LPRs, license plate readers. We're still in the pilot program. I am very proud and honored to have been endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, and I've been speaking to these men and women about this program for quite a while. The pros are that it finds people that they're looking for, and easily. Only those with outstanding warrants. The license plate readers are for finding outstanding warrants, stolen vehicles, and also amber and silver alerts. That's it. Is it an invasion of privacy? It could be, but that is council's job to ensure that the legislation is set in place that it does not impose on people's privacy. License plate readers aren't looking at your face. They're not looking at the color of your skin. They're looking at your license plate on the car that may or may not belong to you. I'm not sure how they're used to track stolen guns, but that's another issue. But license plate readers are a good technology, and like any technology, it's something that needs to be monitored and policed so that it's used for the good of the people and not used to impose itself upon the population as a whole. Thank you.
The next question goes to District 15. Several pieces of legislation were filed or passed in the 2023 Tennessee General Assembly session, which targeted directly or indirectly Nashville's ability to self-govern, sometimes overturning ballot referendums approved by a majority of Nashville voters. Do you feel that such legislation is warranted and good for Nashville? And how would you prefer the council handle such laws once they are passed?
I'm going to go first because I cannot speak intelligently on this subject. I don't have the background for it. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff, who I'm sure has a lot of information on it.
I strongly disagree with measures that were put in place. When the goal is to destroy the other side, who gets the hit from that mindset? The public, the voters. On the council level, the voters said they want a council of 40. There was a vote put to them in 2015, I think it was. And they said, we want to keep the council as it is. Overreaching doesn't benefit the voters. Yes, I can see where disagreement is good. That drives democracy. But we've got to be civil, and we've got to be human in that process, and the behavior cannot continue.
The next district is District 14. We are barely 3 months past the tragic Covenant School shooting. We'd like to commend our valiant MNPD officers that stepped up and ran towards gunfire, no doubt saving countless lives. What can Metro do to improve school safety to ensure that a tragedy like this cannot happen here in the future?
Thank you for the question. It's definitely one that's heavy on a lot of folks' minds. There's no easy answer, first of all. What happened at Covenant is just absolutely a tragedy. I commend our Metro Nashville police officers that saved countless lives. Regardless, there was a lot lost too, not discounting them at all. But those guys, they really did an amazing job. Number one, I'll always have their back for that. It really meant a lot. And they're going to teach that response and police response all across the country for years to come. You can bank on that. So what can we do as a Metro body? Number one, I'm a firm believer that we must ensure that doors are more secure. Didn't help in Covenant the fact that the shooter had an M16, so we need some help from our friends at the state. I don't know if we're going to get that, but at the end of the day, I'm a gun owner, y'all, but I don't need an assault rifle. I don't know what I would do with an assault rifle that I couldn't do with a handgun. Now, once again, I'm a country boy from East Tennessee. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. but you don't need an assault rifle. You'll never be able to convince me that you do. Now, also, we gotta make sure that we are keeping our schools safe with ensuring that there are SROs in every school. And those SROs need to be prepared to respond. Now, that's not gonna save every situation. We had an instance in Parkland in 2018 where we had an SRO that ran away from the fire. And if that happens, we gotta hold those people's feet to the fire. But that is one thing that I do believe can help. Now also, and some other stuff that our friends need to help us with in the state, we need red flag y'all, period, in the story. If you don't have anything to worry about, you don't have anything to worry about, as far as I'm concerned. I don't have a problem going to Academy Sports and buying a handgun, and most of y'all don't either. But if something happens in your life where you pose a risk to someone else or to yourself, you should not have a gun for a specific period of time.
Yes, as Jordan said, there is no easy answer, especially with the limitations the people at the state level are putting on us. But there are some things we can do to reduce the risk. Mental health treatments, many of these perpetrators did have mental health issues. Red flag laws. Much of the red flags in these school shootings were already there. So we should have comprehensive criminal background checks, mental health checks. That's the overall solution to reducing gun violence. And, you know, the statistics and the facts show that that works in the countries where there's more strict gun laws. They don't have these problems. We just need the bureaucrats to agree with us. Thank you.
All right, the next question goes to District 11. Candidates Eastlet and Paxton. Solving Nashville's homelessness crisis will require a balance of compassion and common sense community safety efforts. How would you weight those two components as part of the equation?
Compassion and accountability are keys to solving this crisis. I feel like with the allocation of the $50 million and with Metro Homeless Impact Division getting moving, I think we're starting to head in the right direction, but we're not seeing the results that we want to yet. So I think retooling and refining what we've got started, I think, is the first, best, quickest step we can take. I believe the Housing First program, there is, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they claim they've solved homelessness with the Housing First program. We've got pods sitting ready to go here in Nashville to take care of these folks, to get them housing, to get somewhere to stay. If we partner with some folks like Thistle Farms, if we partner with some folks who work in mental health and addiction services, I think we can really solve this problem. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands in there and solving these problems with compassion and accountability. And accountability looks like we're making sure that they're doing regular testing and making sure that they're on the right track, getting the jobs that they need, getting the services that they need to be successful. And I think we can do that if we have a heart and have a brain, and we can do both at the same time.
We do hear a lot about compassion on this subject, and we do need to help the people in there. But what about the compassion for the business owners around there? What about the compassion for the residents that live around this place? What about compassion for the children at that bus stop over there where there has to be a police officer morning and afternoon to make sure they're not accosted by drug-crazed people? So I get you about helping people, and I've already explained part of the solution on the last question that I had about the homelessness. But I don't think we're talking as much about the compassion for the people in the area that pay taxes, that want a clean, safe home that they can go to every afternoon and not have to drive through the carts full of drug people that are knocked out and just almost ODing over there. I met a guy at Kroger, used to work at Kroger, who said they often have to unlock the family restroom over at Kroger because they OD in that bathroom, and whether they're just OD'd and can be brought back or dead in there, that's not good. That's not good for that business. That's not good for this area. And I don't think it's a good look for us as Nashville.
The next question goes to District 15. The MNPD, including the Hermitage Precinct, is currently short a number of officers. Do you think needs to fill these vacancies, and if so, what will you do as a council member to see if that happens?
If you speak to the police, the fire, a lot of our services within our city, as our city has grown, we have not increased the personnel to provide those services. I understand that many of our stations have 3 and need 4 people. And we're improving. The council just recently passed a budget to improve that situation, but we've got to do better. Our first responders are overworked. I can tell you they're mentally fatigued. I left the music business to become a mental health therapist, and we spend a lot of time with our first responders. They deal with a lot of trauma. They don't have the space to process that trauma, and they can't take the time off because we're short-staffed. So we've got to increase the personnel, we've got to raise the funding so that we protect their mental health, that they stay in the jobs longer, and we increase our retention rate.
Well, I'm a big believer in law enforcement. We've been, we cater to law enforcement. I see cops every single day that come into the shop, and so we talk to police. I think it's ridiculous that there's ever a discussion about we don't have enough police officers, should we hire more? It should be, of course we should have many. Now, do the police officers want 50 people when 40 may do? It's hard to say. You have to look in there. There's a lot of these questions that make a lot of assumptions that you have to research to make sure those assumptions are correct. But yes, I'm a big believer in the law enforcement, big believer in the fire department. When I went for the interviews with them, they all both said that is our problem. We need more people. I love the idea about hiring police officers from some of the cities that they are quickly leaving. That is a great, there's some leaving San Diego right now. I'm sure would love to come here. I'll tell them that it is certainly God's country. But yes, I'm a big believer in back in the blue in every way possible.
The next district is District 11. Patton and Eddington. The Wego Star, carrying passengers from Nashville to Lebanon, is the state's only commuter rail. However, the Wego Star primarily runs only during commute times, mornings and evenings on weekdays. This is due to funding requirements, agreements with freight companies necessary to avoid disrupting freight services, and most importantly, a federal requirement to implement a $50 million positive train control system. A strategic planning effort is currently underway to update our understanding of ridership of the Star. What changes would you make to existing Wego Star services, and how can Metro make these changes happen given the very limiting factors?
You want to take this one first?
No, you go, Eric.
The WeGo Star needs some updates. We have it coming from Lebanon, and it runs great if you have a set schedule where you're downtown at a certain time. But if your schedule is like mine and you're not quite sure when you're going to have to be downtown and when you're going to be able to get back, it's not a super great use of time. Super great use of funds for our city. We've got to work on that. We've got to work on making WeGo work for everybody, not just with the Star, but for the bus system. You know, out in Old Hickory Village where I live, we don't even have a bus right now. I know that Councilman Hager showed me the other night that we're getting one, but we don't have one and haven't had one for a while. We've got to have dedicated transit funding. We've got to. If we're going to grow this city responsibly, that's part of transit. And we're not going to grow responsibly. We can't keep depending on these roadways that are a mess at 5 o'clock. And if we have an accident, the entire city might as well just shut down. We've got to work on transit. And I think the WeGo Star is a good step forward, but we're going to have to put in some real work to make it work for everyone. And I think that's the case with all the transit.
I'm an active rider of the Star. Just pulled out my train pass right here. And got a couple more rides left on that one. I ride it all the time, as much as I can. It's a great way to get around. And the question was about the WeGo Star and how limited the service is. And that is unfortunate. It's almost purely a technological reason. And that is the lack of what you mentioned, positive train control, which limits the number of trains that can be on a certain line at any one time. That could be increased. The number I've heard is between 20 to 40 million. 50 million was thrown out probably just because the price just keeps going up. That's a lot of money, and that will require a lot of study to decide if this is a sort of investment that we want to make. But I believe that we should have a light rail service that hubs downtown in Nashville and goes up to Clarksville, Murfreesboro, out west, and out to Lebanon, as we already have. It's folks that ride the Lebanon train love it. It's designed primarily for state workers right now and for people who work at Vanderbilt. That's around their schedule. And they use it, and at ridership times, the thing is full. But that's only one part of the larger transit need. We've got to look at a comprehensive plan for transit. But we can also look at some short-term solutions that will give us some quick benefits. And one of my favorites, is creating some sort of transit between the airport and downtown. And just think, if we could get that in place, how much traffic that would alleviate, just those tie-ups on the interstate, just by allowing people to get those tourists who come in from the airport to a hub downtown where they can then shuttle to their hotels. It'd also be convenient for the rest of us as a way to get around. So we can look at some short-term options that would have a good payback. We also need to look at the long-term plan for the city. Thank you.
All right, the last question of the night goes to District 11. Candidates DeLucas and Eddington. Local issues are prone to being overshadowed by national and state issues, which Metro has little or no control or authority to fix. How will you address such questions on topics such as gun safety legislation, access to abortion, etc., that affect the lives of many Nashvillians, but that may be outside of Metro's scope? Do you believe Metro should lobby the state on such issues? Elaborate on Metro's role in such polarizing political issues.
Can I read that so I can understand it better? Thank you.
And there was a second issue that I couldn't quite follow. Etc.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh, et cetera. Okay. Gun safety, access to abortion. Oh, okay. I mean, it's no secret that the state uses its supermajority in the legislature, the Senate, and the governor's office to impose rules which directly affect Nashville. That's just how it is. And Nashville feels like that it doesn't have a strong voice in these matters. And right now, it doesn't. But we can also use our clout as the economic engine for the state to influence how people vote. We can also partner with the counties that are around us in our region and work that way to try to influence what happens in the state. I mean, we're not at a loss, we're not helpless. We can do things together, but it'll require reaching out across the line, literally across county lines and throughout the state, to get the state to work not against us, but with us in what we do. The law to cut Metro Council in half, I just oppose vehemently for lots of reasons. For one, the argument was made that 40, is too many. Says who? City's doing great. Our bond rating is up. I mean, everybody in the world wants to live here. And we've got 40 people on the council. It seems to work. Also, it enables all of you to know your council person. When the law was enacted, I hadn't declared that I was going to run yet, and I thought long and hard. I didn't know if I could continue my day job, but also serve a district of 40,000 people. 20,000 is manageable. 40 would be a whole different issue. And that means that fewer people would know their council person. So I'm against that law, and I hope that Metro fights it in the future, and maybe through the courts to have it thrown out so that we can continue doing what the people of Nashville want. Thank you.
This is a lot to take in, and I keep reading the question over and over, and I'm a little confused, but not because of the question per se, but just the way it's worded. If something's outside of Metro scope, we have to find out why it's out of Metro scope, and then see what we need to do to either get it in Metro scope, if that's something we need, or find a way to find out whose scope it's in and work with them. I just had that, real quick, I just had that issue the other day where I had somebody in a residential road saying, hey, can you fix my pothole? You're running. So I called TDOT. It's out of TDOT scope. TDOT told me that address is out of their scope. I said, okay, well, who do I call? We looked at your address again, it's out of our scope. Okay, well, who do I call? They wouldn't tell me. They didn't. I had to keep calling numbers until I figured it out. And then I figured it out, and that pothole is now fixed in front of that person's house. But that's not this question. Find out why it's in Metro scope, and then you need to, I'm still really confused over this question. And I normally don't get confused over questions. You have to work with whoever is in whose efforts in scope. I can talk to whoever is in scope and find out. I've always been the type of guy that, as a retail restaurant manager, when I would sit with corporate managers and they would say something, if it didn't make sense, I go, hey, wait a minute, whoa, that doesn't make sense. You need to do X, 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 and X. And you have to work amicably together to create a plan. It's something called a game model. Just gather the facts, analyze the facts, make a plan, and then execute. A lot of people can do GA and M, but they refuse to do execute. And that's what you need to do with this. It's out of your scope, like I said, and I'm repeating myself, but you have to find out why it's out of your scope, find out whose scope it's in, and then work with them to figure out the best solution for whatever that issue is.
Well, y'all are certainly very efficient, so don't worry about that because I have a bonus question. And I know we also forewent the introduction, so after this bonus question, which each candidate will have 3 minutes to respond to, why don't we do some closing remarks from each of our candidates as well. So let's start with that bonus question. And this is for every candidate here, and you're going to get 3 minutes. What do you see as the top 3 priorities for the city's budget over the next council term? And we'll just start here and go down.
I always get to be first. Homeless encampments, Overbuilding and overpopulation, and preserving the greenery of our area, I think are very important. We have so many abandoned buildings that we're tearing out acres and acres of greenery to build homes or businesses when you can put them in those places, buy those places and put them there. Just behind my house, there are 14 acres are being torn out right now for $249,000 or $400,000 homes in a flood zone. That's not good either. The homeless encampments, we need to work on that. That's a number one priority as well. We've talked about it a lot recently, but I have a plan. It's a lot of work, and we would have to work with whoever the person is in District 14, 15, and 12 to use the compassion and find out who the people are that are in these camps. Find out what their affliction is and get them the help to them. If they need to go to, if they need an address, we can help put them in a pod, or, some churches have stepped up and said that they would house them, assign them a case manager, like I mentioned earlier, and then have that case manager follow up on them and get them sustainable. If it's a mental health issue and they need to go into a rehab facility, get them that help too. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of money, but once you get them sustained again, then they're all going to work out. The third thing, talk about preserving greenery, and one other thing, I'm going to back up and say teachers. Teachers, it would probably be my third one. Let me back up and repeat that one, because they are underfunded and they are overworked, and all that will do is hurt our future in our children, because they don't have the time to teach our children properly. Especially with online schooling and whatnot. How do you teach someone in kindergarten, first grade, how to read when they have to read to get online? That was always an issue, and I know there was a reason behind that. But you definitely have to get the teachers the resources they need so we can build our future, because without building our future now with our kids, we're going to have a continued homeless issue later with children that can't read, don't go to school, don't work. And every one of our children matter. Every one in our community matters, and we all need to work together because we matter.
So the top three for me, I've been saying it the entire campaign, is schools, services, small businesses. Schools, we need to take care of our teachers, make sure that they're safe in their classrooms, make sure that they're supported in their classrooms, make sure that they're making the kind of money that they deserve. I'm endorsed by the Metro Nashville Education Association. The teachers, I have their back and they have mine, because they know I'm going to deliver for them. I believe in seeing a District 11 with a new high school. I believe in seeing a District 11 with better schools that we have. I believe in a District 11 where we have so many new families moving in that we don't have to bus them over to McGavock anymore. But I did meet with the new principal at McGavock, and I really am excited about the future of McGavock. And until we can get that day where we have that new high school that we're going to get by getting the funding from the state that we deserve, McGavock is our best option for the future right now, and we've got to work with them. We got to make sure it's successful, and we do that by implementing community school programs where businesses, parents, community members come in and build these schools better. Services, we need to expand and make better the services that we have. I believe in a District 11 where we have enough police officers and enough firefighters to fully staff our fire trucks. I believe in a District 11 that has the equipment we need for those police officers and firefighters and ambulances. We need more. We need better access to those things. We need access to infrastructure and transit. Working with businesses like the Turnip Truck. I talked to John Dyke today, who owns the Turnip Truck, and he told me that he would love to build a Turnip Truck on this side of town, but he needs $7 million. So we need to find SBA funding. We need to find ways to get those kinds of folks who have their business in Nashville, who invest in the city. We need to make sure those investments pay off. I see Chelsea Jang here, who runs the Nashville Hot Sauce Company, who has invested in this community, and those investments need to pay off. We've got to focus on those services, and that leads into small businesses. We've got to take care of each other. If you've invested in this city, we need to invest in you. That's what I plan to do. We're going to grow in District 11. We're going to grow in this city. There's no way to stop it, but we've got to make sure that it's growth we can all agree on, and that we can look back in 20 years and love what we see and still recognize the District 11 that we love with the improvements that we've all agreed on and come together to build. And I'm Eric Patton. Visit my website, ericfromnashville.com, to learn more about my plans. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. It's great to be able to talk to voters. I knock on doors every day and speak to people one-on-one, and it's really been a treat. One of the things I didn't expect out of this campaign, I knew I would be talking to people, but I thought it'd be much more like this and not really door to door. But it is a big treat to get to meet people and meet them and greet them at their own home. I think one of the biggest things we're going to have to do is find out transit, whether it is some type of light rail or WECO system, but those are only for the mass, and it doesn't drop you off anywhere near where you really need to go unless you live in a specific spot near that drop-off point. But better roads, Shoot Lane between Andrew Jackson and Old Hickory Boulevard, that's a big problem out there. We need to put a smart light or extend at least the left-hand arrow to be able to get more cars through that, to be able to get down there. But Shoot Lane wasn't designed for all the cars that are on it. So we need to look at widening that road. And there are a lot of other examples exactly like that, where one lane with either a turn lane, or just like downtown. In the morning, it's 2 lanes going in the afternoon, it's 2 lanes going out. We're smart enough to figure that out. Second thing is the homelessness. Absolutely, we need to spend some money on this. We need to look at, well, a lot of people now are working from home because of COVID that weren't before. This should free up some big buildings to where we can put these people in for a temporary portion of time to get them the care they need, whether it's the alcohol or drug treatment or mental illness, and then help them get back on their feet. But we definitely need to do this away from the neighborhoods, which Metro's plan now includes adding landlords to rent homes to the city to put homeless in there. Spreading them out is not going to be a good idea. We need to find central locations where we can put a lot of them at one time and help them in a more mass situation. Last, school safety. We talked about the Covenant shooting, and if you saw the video, 5 shots, 5 seconds, the person was through that door. 3M makes a great film that if you put on there, it will make that more bullet resistant or bulletproof. Put up better doors, better barriers, allow police officers more time to get there. We saw the courage that they showed and how quickly they defused that shooter once they got there. But it took a while to get there. If that person wasn't able to get in, then we may be able to stop that before it even happens. And that's the 3 mainly. Transit, homelessness, and school safety. And I'm with Eric. There should be a high school here in this district. We have plenty of space to be able to put one. And lastly, I would like to spend some money on dog parks. People get to let their dogs play. That's an awfully good space there. But neighbors get to know one another a lot more than you think. I go to the Two Rivers one all the time. I've met a ton of people that I wouldn't have met if I didn't have my dogs. And I love my dogs.
It's not a budget priority, but I will go on record, I love my dogs too. Hey, Cat, can you go up here? Yes, her. Excuse me. First of all, I want to thank our student moderators for being here and doing a great job. Y'all are incredibly brave to do this, and thank you. You asked about budget priorities, and that means looking at the big picture. I mean, we've all got our pet projects, but the council is not just looking at our district, but it's looking at the entire county and how we can work together as council people for the betterment of our city. So my 3 priorities one would be public safety. As I mentioned before, I've been endorsed by the FOP. I'm very proud of that. I want to support them and the firefighters and all of those people who keep us safe day in and day out. Secondly, schools. I want to support our schools in every way possible. I'm a great believer in education. We have 5 wonderful schools in District 11, and my daughter went to Andrew Jackson, and I'm going to give a shameless shout out to Miss Floyd back there, her favorite teacher ever. We also want to be creative in how we use the school funding. We need to look at, we've got a great program for apprenticeship programs. We need to continue that. We need to look at our 2-year college programs to help people along the way that might be the route for them at the time. So public safety, schools, and thirdly, just quality of life. That's what we can do so that we live in a wonderful place. Let's make it better. I want to make sure that our parks, our greenways, and our libraries are funded and funded well. I'm a huge believer in bike paths. I would love to see some urban bike paths through the city, not on Old Hickory Boulevard, but in places where the bikers can ride and be safe and jog. We've got the greenways. Greenways, they don't go anywhere. They're wonderful to ride along the river but how can we get from point A to B on a bike, on a scooter, or walking or running? How can we do that? I think we need to look at that seriously.
Get through yet. All right, so number 1, infrastructure. That's a big one, y'all. Our city is decades behind in infrastructure. Now that starts with sidewalks. It is completely unacceptable that we're a good city if we have 18% of our roads that have a sidewalk. Not acceptable. 50 pedestrians last year killed due to a lack of infrastructure in Nashville. Now, I can tell you, and a lot of y'all know this, downtown don't have a problem with infrastructure. Out here, we're the redheaded stepchild, no offense to redheads. Or stepchildren, yes. Also, we have to fund our crumbling roads, and that's going to be in a partnership with the state in a lot of instances, but Councilmember Evans did a good job articulating the Lebanon Road project. That was a long time coming. I can tell you, Green Hills don't have any problems funding their roads. We got to prioritize our roads. Also, on top of that, and this is going to overlap a little bit with another one of my top 3 priorities, but we have to fix our crumbling schools. I am a firm believer that if you don't know if a school needs to be replaced or if it needs to have renovations, go look in the bathrooms. Look at the fixtures. If there are doors missing, if there are sinks that are from the 80s or 90s, there's a good chance that school needs some money to get some improvements. And then lastly, as far as infrastructure goes, transit. I mean, we talked about a solution, a lot of us have here, but we got to find a solution for this in the next council term. I'm going to work tirelessly with the next mayor on this. Number 2 is funding public safety. Now, this is a passion of mine, and I'm proud that I received the FOP endorsement as well. We have to grow our police department to adequate standards here to keep our community safe. Now, that also includes the fire department, which we have not had a net new fire station in Nashville since the early 2000s. Now, I'm not talking about the one on Andrew Jackson Parkway. That's not net new. That one was transferred over from Plantation Drive. Net new. It is unacceptable that we've had thousands of new structures built in this city, and we still have the same amount of firefighters. Last but not least, public education. We have to fund it, y'all. If you think that the cost of education is expensive, wait until you see how much ignorance costs.
So, top 3 issues. As I said, homelessness is at the top of my platform, personal issue to me, and we can have a step-by-step program which includes addressing mental health, drug addiction, and getting these people into a good working job and with a livable wage that they can take care of themselves. Also, being the big tourist city that we are, we need to stop spending resident dollars on tourists, start using tourist dollars on residents. A certain candidate whose name I won't mention campaigned on that 4 years ago. I have not seen it come to fruition, but I pounced on that and made it part of my own platform. And of course, public safety. That means increasing the resources and staffing for our emergency departments. I've talked to numerous voters who have been complaining about slow police response times, complaining about speeding through the neighborhoods, which is something that infrastructure and transit can also help address. And all these are my personal concerns as well. And that's why they are in my platform. Thank you.
So as I mentioned earlier, I came from San Diego, and I want to tell you that all of these problems that you guys have are so much worse there. When we came here, when we bought our house, the guy always said, well, we understand there's like really bad traffic here. He goes, where are you from? I said, San Diego. No, you won't notice it. It's true. The homeless, I just came back from San Diego. The homeless has changed dramatically. And I keep hearing all these people, all my fellow candidates here talking about, oh, all we need to do is get them some help and get them into a program and all that. My wife worked for our church in San Diego for 25 years, every single day at the little Catholic church. People came and knocked on our door looking for money and food, and we had plenty of places to send them to, and they never wanted to go. They prefer to be where they can do drugs and stuff. So not all the homeless people are just out there waiting for a handout. As Mr. Eastlake was talking about, we have to talk about the people that the homelessness is affecting, the people that are paying for their taxes, that don't want people. And again, in San Diego, I have a friend who has a printing shop, and people are camping in front of his printing shop, and the police won't move away. They accost his customers. His business has gone down to 10% of what it was, and they said, well, we can't help this. It's their right to be there. That's just not right. It shouldn't be affecting everybody else. So there should be some laws, there should be some guidelines, and when you ignore it, it is not doing anybody any good. It's not doing the people any good in those camps. It's not doing the homeless people. It's not doing the people that are trying to make a living any good. So the homeless is a question. I think these programs that just automatically assume that every one of these homeless people are upstanding people just down on their luck looking for a little handout and a little way to get back up. It's just not quite like that. And I think to really address homelessness, we have to appreciate that. The one thing that is not, that San Diego does do better than here is roads. The roads here are horrible. I don't know what it is. I thought, well, maybe it's because they have all the weather or something. But my in-laws live down in Arkansas, and as soon as I pop into Arkansas, those roads are smooth. I cross over that bridge and go back into Tennessee, and it's just doing the potholes. I drive down Briley every day, and it's like playing a video game. It's going around the potholes and stuff. So we have to do something about roads. And education, I brought my 3 children, went up through parochial school until high school. Then one went to a charter school, one went to a public school, and one went to a magnet school. So I had a good experience in how all those type of higher educations go. My kids were all firmly ahead of the rest of their students when they went to high school as far as their education. By the time they were done, only my son who went to the magnet school was ahead. So the education, there's lots of problems both nationally. There's lots of things going on in our education program. I don't believe in any of this DEI stuff. I don't believe in, and it's time to quit. Okay. I keep looking at her. I forget that. I'm sorry, but you might have noticed I'm just eyeballing her. But anyway, I quit. Here we go.
So my 3 priorities would be at the top of the list: schools, safety, and transit. Our most valuable Nashville resource is our young people. And we've got to do better. I want to commend the current council because we are making great strides. In the new budget, there's $100 million additional dollars to increase teacher pay and salary, much deserved. When it comes to our safety sector, there's $61 million to increase their wages and increase the staff by 100 new positions. And then transit would be my 3rd. If any of you have seen the new Hillsborough Transit Station, it's a partnership between the state, the city, and Metro Schools. It's a beautiful facility. I'd love to see that duplicated in Donelson. We owe it to the people of our city to be better, and we can, and that's what I'm about to do. Thank you. I'm Jeff Gregg for 15.
Thank you, candidates. And as promised, we have closing remarks, and each candidate's going to get 2 minutes each for closing remarks. Let's start in the middle with maybe District 14, and y'all can just do as you please.
Okay, well again, I'm RJ Mamula, running in District 14. Been active in public service for quite some time now, working on campaigns, working with the Lions Club, working with the party. I am a working national, and therefore a working Nashvilleian, and therefore I don't just care about the needs of working Nashvilleians, those are my needs too. I work for Under Armour in their warehouse. Housing takes up a big part of my personal budget. That's why affordable housing is important to me. I mentioned the close call with the foreclosure. I drive to work. I live your life. I share your needs. So if you need a working Nashvilleian representing you, I'm your guy.
First of all, thank you again to the student moderators. Y'all, this generation will save us. I think we all know that at this point. I'm Jordan Huffman, running for Metro Council here. I mentioned early on that I'm the former president of the Donelson-Hermitage Neighborhood Alliance. They puts this on. These events are essential because you need accurate information in front of you, and you need to hold us accountable. Whoever gets elected, hold us accountable. You don't like me, when I take a vote on something, hold me accountable, okay? I believe in openness and transparency. If I win, I'm committing right now, and I've been committing at every single door that I've had. Number one, I'm gonna have quarterly town halls. A lot of them will likely be right here. Number two, I'm gonna have monthly office hours. We will meet in a public space where you can come to me, well, I'll buy you a cup of coffee, we'll talk about whatever issue you have. And number three, I'm gonna have a regular newsletter. So if you're curious about what's being built in the Target parking lot, well, take a look in that newsletter. Everything that I do and everything that I will do is about community. From the DH&A, from my time here, we started the Hermitage Christmas tree. If y'all have been to that, that's a great event. We've grown that to over 500 attendees over the last couple of years. We've also picked up over 2 tons of trash off the streets. I'm proud of that record. I also serve with the Exchange Club, and I'm happy with my work there. I'm a member of the Donelson-Hermitage Chamber of Commerce as well. And I'm an Elevate alum for those of y'all that are in the leadership on Donelson-Hermitage. There we go. I'm running on a Neighborhood First platform. I'm committed to serving this community. I didn't do myself a favor when I was talking about my priorities, but not only have I been endorsed by the police, but I've also been endorsed by our teachers. And lastly, and I hate to break it to y'all, because you don't know this yet, but I have received firefighter's endorsement, and I'm proud of that. I'm asking for your vote. Visit HudsonForMetro.com. Thank you.
I'm going to be brief. My name is Sherrod Eddington. I'm running for Metro Council for District 11, which is Old Hickory and Hermitage. I would appreciate your vote if you live in that district. I've lived there for 27 years and will continue to live there as long as we can. I believe in transparency. Also believe in consensus building. Council should not be a place where people are fighting. It's a place where we should work together. And I will use all my skills that I've accumulated over the years to bring people together, to work together for the betterment of our neighborhoods, our communities, and our city as a whole. Sherrod Eddington, I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not looking to be an aspiring politician. I'm just a business owner that's feeling the effects of taxes and growth in our neighborhoods. I want to bring practical ideas, just reasonable things to the council. I want you to wake up and say, I've thought of that. I've said that before. Those are the ideas I'd like to bring to the area. We live in a great place in 11. We're one of the only places in the country that has a former president and the place they live right here. The Andrew Jackson home is awesome. You need to go tour that. But there are some things that would make our area better. Back to my dogs. We have a lot of green space in this area. There are some places that could be a dog park with just a fence. I would love to make that happen. It'd be a top priority to bring this area together. And then also some restaurant options. No offense to any one of them, but we have very few restaurants in this area. Lastly, I want to be somebody that will help bring the community together, listen to practical ideas from others and help make those happen. I talked to a gentleman at one of my events. He had the idea, former military guy, he's young, and he works from his computer, he can work anywhere. He said, what if I could go to the schools and sit around just to make sure it was safe? I wouldn't want anything, I would just want to be there in case anything happened. I would look to find ways to make that rewarding for him, whether it was some kind of property tax break or some kind of incentive for our people in the area that are either retired or have the time on their hands to help our students stay safe. Just practical, reasonable ideas. I'm Jeff Eastlick, running for Council District 11.
When you're looking at your next council member, you're looking at someone who's going to get the job done. I have been working with our state and city government for the last 16 years. I'm only 33 next week. I've been doing this half my life. I love my neighborhood. I want to support and serve Old Hickory and Hermitage from the bridge to the Grove. I love this neighborhood, and I'm going to be here as long as I can. And I am committed to bringing common sense solutions and bringing people together. We have a country and a city and a state that's divided because we don't listen to each other anymore. We talk at each other. We snipe at each other, we go after each other. But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to build consensus and build community because we need each other. We are at our best when we are together. And our best days in Old Hickory and Hermitage are ahead of us, not behind us, because we're gonna get this right. We're gonna do these things together to build our community the way we see fit. When we look back in 20 years, we're gonna say, my gosh, we really did it together, didn't we? And that's what I'm looking to do. EricForNashville.com to learn more. I've got endorsements from the teachers, I've got endorsements from the unions, I've got endorsements from elected leaders, but most importantly, I've got lists of folks in my neighborhood who are endorsing me, and I'm really proud of those. So, EricForNashville.com, I appreciate your vote August 3rd. Early voting starts this Friday. You can early vote here at the Hermitage Library. You can join me at 7:30. I'll be there in line bright and early, probably with some Hardee's biscuits if you know me well.
I want to thank everybody, all the candidates for showing up. I'm glad we all showed up this time. And for the students to be here and have the courage, like Sharon said. I'm not a politician. Normally, I'm a leader. I'm a representative. I was a retail manager for over 30 years. Like I said, if we didn't work together, we all failed. My decision to be in this race is based on the need for our community to have a representative that is for the people. I'll be your representative, not your politician. I'm here to represent you, and that is my only agenda. We need to take the power back. No more tearing out woody greenery just to overpopulate Nashville. No more payoffs from big business to push their agendas. No more ignoring unsafe roads that cause accidents and damage vehicles. No more ignoring the homeless encampments. They must be dealt with, and the afflicted must get the help they need and become self-sufficient again. Just moving them around the county doesn't work. No more ignoring you. No more. We've had enough. It's time we're treated with the dignity and respect we all deserve. I will always have time for you. I'm not here for talking points, political jargon, or misrepresentation. I'm here to stand up for you because you matter. No area in our district is better than any other area. None of us are better than all of us. I'll tell it like it is, and I'll listen to you. I'll hear what you have to say and make the best decision for all of us. That is what a true leader does. I was a retail, like I said, I was a retail restaurant manager for over 30 years. So I'm here to work for you because I'll listen to everything that you have to say. And any decision that I will make is based off of what we want as a community and what is good for that subsection of our community. You know, not what is good in Lakewood might not be what's good in Heritage Hills. But you have to work together and base everything off of that meeting. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Dan Jones, as I've told you a few times. I work for the Glock Store. We moved our world headquarters here. The Glock Store is a $40 million a year handgun distribution company, for want of a better description. You don't really make money selling guns, you make money selling holsters and all the other stuff that goes with it. But I'm in charge of their marketing. I'm also in charge of media relations here. So I talk with a lot of the various media people and such. I gotta quit looking. Got a magnet there. There you go. Okay, so my three things that I think, well, this is my thing. Sorry. Look back to my notes. Okay, I decided to get into this race simply because I had came here and I said, oh my gosh, I'm finally in a red state. I'm going to volunteer and get into politics. On my website, if you go in, I hope you all visit it at least once, danjonesformetrocouncil.com. You'll see that I bill myself as a common sense conservative with a little rock and roll soul. One of my hobbies is I sing here, and you can find me on a lot of the stages around here in Hermitage and Donelson during the week, so that's kind of a fun thing. I'm proud to say that through working with the DCRP and getting involved with them first, I'm now on a first name basis with Andy Ogles, our congressman. I did photographic support for the entire congressional race for both the DCRP, the Epic Times, and a bunch of other places. I'm not a politician. This is the first time I've ever run for any office in my life. And so I'm having a good time. And I'm enjoying the whole process. On my website, there's a blog that I've been documenting what you go through when you start campaigning. So if any of you have ever thought about being sitting up here, you can read my blog and you'll know what's coming down the pipe for you. And that is it. Dan Jones for MetroCouncil.com, and I appreciate your vote.
So like many before me, many after me, I came to Nashville for the music business. And I was a talent agent. And as a talent agent, I was essentially an advocate. My job was to advocate for my artists, for their music, for their career, for their brand. And in 2017, I decided I wanted to advocate for people in a more meaningful way. And so I decided to go back to school to become a marriage and family therapist. And in doing that work, I've discovered a few things. Number one, people want to know that there's someone out there that will listen without judgment. Number two, they come to counseling because they want a better life. And number three, they want an advocate to guide them, to help them through the ups and downs in life. Well, isn't that what we all want? And isn't that what we want in our councilman? So for me, this is just another phase on my advocacy journey. I spent my career advocating for people and ideals. I feel like I'm qualified to represent District 15, and I hope to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Let's give it up for our candidates tonight. Thank you for your commitment. This formally concludes the forum, but we're going to take a picture if that's all right with y'all, and I'm sure stick around for comments and questions from our audience. So thank you all so much again. Early voting starts this Friday, so get out there and vote. Thank you for being here. Good night.